Welcome to Civitai.com, the home of the generative AI art community. If you enjoy this video, please consider hitting us with a like and subscribing, as it'll go a long way in helping us continue to bring you the highest quality AI community content. Please enjoy the video. Man, do I have an exciting one for you guys today. I know I showed you guys his stuff yesterday, but today we are very fortunate. I'm joined by, I'm going to call this man a legend because I think he's a legend every time I see one of his videos pop up on my Instagram feed, Ruben Fro. So Ruben, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much to you. I mean, it's a great opportunity, and honestly, I love your work as well. And your work you've been doing artistically and what you've been doing with Civitai as well. Really amazing stuff.
Well, really appreciate that, man. The feeling is definitely mutual. For those of you that do not know, Ruben is you know what? You tell the people what you do, because I'm going to completely fumble it because I'm still wrapping my head around what you do. So why don't you go ahead and give the people the small intro about yourself, and then before we get into the conversation, we'll take a look at some of your work.
Okay.
For the large crowd that probably isn't familiar with you.
Okay, sounds great. So I'm Ruben Fro. I'm a visual effects artist, let's say easily about that, and director, and mostly working with point clouds and volumetric stuff. So like 3D scanning and creating worlds out of that, visuals. And I've mostly been working, with this content, this kind of stuff for music videos and movies, commercials, and this kind of works. And I'm also head of cinematics at JAD, and we are doing an AR gaming. Yeah, something like that.
So cool, man. Just to get a little bit of the resume going, who are some of the larger people or companies that you're particularly proud to have worked with?
So let's see. I've worked with so many of the amazing people. One that I really enjoy working with music video was A$AP Ferg featuring Pharrell Williams. It was a really cool music video we did there. Then I did another music video with Pussy Riot. And then what I did, I'm doing now mostly live visual for the Afterlife series. So concert, that's one really enjoying. Then I worked with Virgin, McLaren, Acronym, and then what else? That's
quite the resume.
Yeah, I kind of started in 2020 doing this, so I started there and getting more job about that.
Awesome, man. Well, look, before we get into talking about anything and really diving deep into what you do, I want the people who don't know you to see exactly what you do. So the first thing I want to start by showing them is the Vietnam video you said was one of your first ones to really go viral on Twitter, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's right. Down. No, it's not that one down there. Yeah, it's this one.
This one. There we go.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to turn the audio on for this guy. Dude.
I have this nostalgic feeling about this because I made this in 2000 and actually the next video you can actually see how I did some of this part, how everything Hanoi
one right here?
Yeah, exactly. This is how the scene worked, and it's in the in Unity. Everything I do is made in Unity, all the shaders. So here I was just moving around in the scene. But it's fun because this was the first video that I made, and it was in 2020. During the start of the pandemic, I started doing this. And because in 2019, end of 2019, I was in Vietnam. And I was recording the streets with my 360 camera. So I was passing through these old, small alleys and things like that. And when I came back to Japan, I took those data, I processed them like with video photogrammetry, created like the 3D image, and my my workflow with shaders, point cloud. So that from that point it got popular on X, started getting more requests of making this kind of work, and kind of grew from there.
So since how long from shooting this video to the edited version we see on social, how long is a process for one of these videos?
So basically at first was shooting this. This is just walking around this alley with a 360 camera. So like 30 second, maybe 1 minute video. I don't remember exactly. A very short video. Came back to Japan. Everything came out, I think it was around February. So, and it was something new because these sort of things like photogrammetry, point cloud, I was doing it for fun before. I was doing an interactive installation using this kind of technology. So I was developing all the way to render these points, and came back, processed the data, started working with this, but I wasn't really sure what I was going to do, honestly, when I had the data. So it took some time, but I think like in 1 month or so, I had like the 3D scene, and then I started adding like small details like the flickering lights, and then writing the music and all these.
You wrote the music too?
Oh yeah, all my pieces must actually. There is another thing, because this is the second version. Let's say that I adjusted later, but the original version I used to do like a very weird approach on music. When I had like the data of the 3D location, like in point cloud data. So basically it's a file telling you, X, Y, Z of that specific point and the color of the point. That's basically it. So it's a big file with all this data. So I processed those data and I converted that data into like wave file. So it was just noise, like mostly noise, but there was some kind of pattern happening there because of the, like a street is in this position on the axis flat. So there was like pattern there happening. And I started processing this data and from a raw wave file, adding echo, FX pitch changing. So it was way more experimental in a way, very darker and glitchy. So I really like to do this kind of stuff, not just writing music, but also using like the actually raw wave data.
I was trying to think of exactly what this reminds me of. And have you played Cyberpunk at all?
Oh yeah. Oh, the brain dance.
The brain dance, exactly. The brain dance, when you're in the brain dance and you can go around and you're looking through the scene. That's literally what this feels like.
Honestly, I kind of know that some of my images at the time, because it was like I started, honestly, the first thing that I played, started posting, but they were just experiment, was like 2019, and I know on some storyboards and some people there are my images on the Cyberpunk. So I haven't been credited, but for sure it has been inspired by my stuff, for sure.
Yeah, it's insane, man. So so this was like one of the first ones that really blew up, but I've noticed that as you've continued posting, the point clouds you're using for the environments look more and more detailed. Mm-hmm. And you're also doing ones that feel even more experimental. So like, I really like, where was the one that I was looking at this the other day? It was like this one. Mm-hmm. I thought this was insane.
This also got quite popular on X as well. And it's fun because I spent so much time working on the piece that it's before this one. And that one didn't do as well, but this one, yeah,
this one right here.
Yeah, exactly. I spent so much time working on this, but this didn't have the same effect. At the same time, though, some stuff that I was developing for this one ended up making the other one possible. So it's not like wasted time. And everything that you do in the end, it's about, helping you figure out what to do next, I think. So
is most of the stuff we see in your work, is it from actual footage you record and then you also combine 3D assets into it and then everything kind of comes together with the point cloud?
Yeah, basically I record the streets or whatever the place is going to be, and I process those footage. Usually it's me working around this place. I process that through photogrammetry, so I can extract like the 3D, basically the 3D data from that place, and then I extract like the camera path as well, connect them all together, and apply all my FX there, and that's it, and that's basically that.
Okay, so for people that don't know, because I'm sure a lot of this is new to a lot of the people watching that frequent our stream, I have shown people here and there what a Gaussian splat is, but can you break down the difference between a Gaussian splat from a point cloud from a NeRF?
Mm-hmm. It's really, really interesting. And even Gaussian splat and NeRF, it's like the new kids on the block in a way, because point cloud used to be, it's the simplest way to render this kind of volumetric content. If you can imagine like a single point in space and it has a color, it can have a direction, but at the same time, it's just a simple point. And then you can decide how to render these points. In my case, I'm rendering these points sometimes as voxels, so they are like cubes, sometimes they are like spheres. It really depends how I want to render those, but it's basically that's it. So you can imagine if it's like a single point in space, you can't have like reflection, so you don't know exactly how, it doesn't change as much. You can have colors and shadows, but it doesn't change as much from your point of view. NeRF came out, and it was a really, really cool thing because it wasn't as precisely digital, let's say, as point clouds that are just single points in space. It was most like, I can imagine, it's hard to explain, but if you imagine it like a blob of some kind of blobby thing that created space. So some are smaller, some are larger, instead of just single points. And then it can change color depending by where you look at it. So for example, this is really clear when you see like a reflection in a Gaussian splat or a NeRF. You can see like this surface, let's imagine like a mirror. If you see like a point cloud, the mirror is like, has always the same color. The point has always the same color. So if you look around, it's not moving the reflection. Right. So with NeRF instead, it has the ability to change the color depending by where you're looking at this. So you can create reflection. You can memorize, you can store it, right? And Gaussian splat is basically a simplified version, let's say, just to talk in more simply, of a NeRF. But at the same time, it's also closer to point clouds in a way that it's easier to understand that instead of having points, you have like these sort of blobs that are basically circles, like ellipses kind of moving in space. So for example, if you have like a white wall behind you, you don't need like single points to define the wall, like the small points. Maybe you have a larger area, like a larger circle, white circle defining the wall. And when you put everything together, it's more fuzzy, but it gives you like something that looks closer to how reality world looks like, not as digital, let's say.
And your favorite one to work with are the point clouds.
The point clouds. I have other works in Gaussian Splat, but because basically what I do, all my for example, if you look at let's see, maybe down. Oh yeah, you see on the right the one with the graffiti.
This one.
Yeah, that one. That's a Gaussian Splat, and you can apply FX on the Gaussian Splat as well.
That's so cool.
You see, when it's exploding, you see they are not like points; they are like small circles. That's what usually.
Well, the Gaussian Splat feels more like when you're in the center of it, where it's like it's the most detailed. It really feels more like a picture in augmented reality, whereas the point clouds have that kind of like, because it's all just the shapes, it feels more digitized.
Exactly. So
I understand now.
Yeah, it's fun because it really depends what you want to do, and on one way you can say that, and it's true. Gaussian Splat is like the progression of point cloud aesthetic. So you have more, it's more realistic and it's closer, but at the same time, they are just two different things. So I still, I have all my FX, all my explosion things and stuff working in Gaussian Splat as well. But I have work even recently, as like last month, that they required specifically that kind of a point cloud aesthetic. So if you want to do something that looks more digital, point clouds are the way to go because they are more precise. Even the FX, when you split like a point cloud in half with some like, digitizing thing, it just looks very digital, very sharp. While
we actually got a question in the chat that I want to make sure that I throw this at you before we get too far away from it. Doing things with generated point clouds, has it ever made you think about using Lidar data, or are accurate real-life points not as appealing for a creative process?
Oh, they are. I mean, I've used Lidar data as well for the music video we did with ASAP Ferg and Pharrell. Actually, we had a very large scanner, like a scanner, capturing very expensive stuff, like a $50,000, $1,000 stuff. And I think on the top you can find that music video.
Oh, is it somewhere up here?
Oh yeah, it's this one. Yes, my sequence was captured in with a mix of 360 cameras and
insane.
This is New York. So, and the outside, this was captured with like professional Lidar scanners. Yeah.
I don't even know what a professional Lidar scanner looks like.
It's like a big machine like that you place in the middle of the street and it's like scanning over. I mean, you can see the laser, but it's pretty insane.
Is it like the things is it like the things that are on top of like the Google cars that are driving around making
kinda like that? And for this project, we had the use of that, and some, because you cannot use it everywhere, but it's so precise and you capture like an entire neighborhood. I mean, you place it there and you have like all the place there, the streets over and the train. So it's really powerful, but you cannot use it anywhere because you cannot just go down, inside a train, just walking and capturing with the thing. So that's why.
I would love to be in the room and see ASAP Ferg and Pharrell's face when they see this for the first time.
Oh, yeah. It was a really, really interesting project to make it happen. A lot of it happening there. But yeah, I was very honored to have been working with an amazing director here. And Valentin Petit, he was a really, really amazing person that really helped me also to enter this space.
So okay, let's talk about software stack, and because one of the questions in the chat was just what software do you use for these VFX, what tools, and let's talk about from like if someone just wanted to try to even attempt to do a rudimentary version of this, where would they start? But first, let's like talk about what you're actually using and what makes your work unique.
Okay, so it's easier now, but so I started doing this kind of stuff in 2020. Before that, I was into app development, and before that, software development. So I come from a coding, programming background. I was mostly familiar with that, and especially with shaders. Shaders are how you take some data, and it's like a coding happening on the GPU. So, and I had knowledge about doing those kind of coding, and I started building like a way to render point clouds in 2018, 2019, 2020 with shaders. So I'm using Unity, and I started first learning how to render point clouds in this way, and then I started adding, how can I add lights? So started reading papers about how the lights is working, where I can get the data and how to add light data to these points. Then I started doing graphics. The first one was like how I can explode points, how can I divide points. So it's all something that I've developed by myself into my own shader. So everything that you see is just Unity plus one shader, creating everything, FX lights and things. So it's a hard thing to do if you are not familiar with this kind of stuff, but it's getting easier. And even Blender has the ability to do that. One of my friends is doing this mostly in Blender, and he's doing like tutorials. And shout out to Massimo, is MVNOIC. If you know him.
Wait, say it one more time. We'll drop a link for people so they can go check out his stuff.
If you go on Instagram, it's like mv.nyc, New York City, kind of. And he is doing this kind of work in
you say
mv.nyc. Yeah,
there we go.
He's doing all this point cloud stuff in Blender, so it's more accessible how he's doing that. And otherwise, I think Unity is a really great solution, but it has a lot. You have a lot to learn about that for sure.
Is this something that could also be done in Unreal, or is Unity just much more ideal for this?
So Unreal is great for rendering point clouds, but I think Unity has the ability to, if you start learning how to code shaders and how to manage all these effects by yourself, it's easier to write things in Unity. So to make things to move, especially if you have the point clouds and you want to create effects on the point clouds, Unity is easier to do that. With the Unreal, it's easy to render the point clouds as they are without animating them, because we have also the plugin to do that. But it's a bit harder, to go deep down level and change things. So especially if you have very large point clouds.
Gotcha. So everything, all of your work and everything we're seeing on your page recently, it's all a culmination of the same technique that you've been refining since about 2018.
Exactly. The one, if you look at for example, the top right on there, I think this is like a point cloud, but it's so dense that it looks like ocean splat. And here I have like light support and a lot of different effects and things. So yeah,
it's so cool, man. Every time, like
it's super dense. This is like, I think it was like 80 million points scans, and it's running real time in Unity. These kind of things.
What type of rig are you running all this on, and are you able to render this stuff locally, or do you have to put it to a cloud?
No. I have 3019 RTX, and I mean, I have a good computer, probably the best I could buy, like in 2020, 21, I guess. but it's quite, a regular computer. It's not like crazy. Everything that you see now here, it's running in real time if I just decrease the number of points. So being able to, use Unity or Unreal, any real-time engine, helps a lot, especially also with work. Like if you have projects that require, tight schedule, you can just go and not think about rendering time, basically.
Gotcha. What type of GPU are you working on?
RTX 3019 I have now, NVIDIA.
Damn. So you're not even on a 4090.
No. I'm not. I want to buy. I'm waiting for the next one. I mean,
you're waiting for the 5090.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all waiting for the 5090.
Exactly. So I decided to wait a bit and let's see. But I want to upgrade. But honestly, it's fine. It's almost okay for me. I can wait some rendering time there, but for sure.
Damn, this is we have one question. I don't know how relevant this is to you, but someone asked, what did you think about Unity's change of terms? I heard they were able to charge a lot of money for using their service.
They changed back though. So they they realized they were doing something weird. I have this love-hate relationship with Unity, to be honest, because they've been doing like crazy stuff. But I think now they are in a good position. They've changed and they saw a good direction. And I hope they stick to this direction and they're not just messing up, because they changed way too many directions before. And I think it should be better now.
I feel like we all have love-hate relationships with the softwares that we use to make things.
Exactly.
So Ruben, are you familiar with the Instagram account Pixel Pusher? Does that name ring a bell?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So Pixel Pusher just popped in and he's like, "How does this tie in with Civit?" Well, funny you should ask. And Pixel Pusher is a good friend of mine. We've hung out a handful of times in person already. But so shout out to Jeru, aka Pixel Pusher. But Ruben is the second artist of a lot of artists I'm going to be inviting on who are extremely exceptional at what they're doing that doesn't necessarily spearhead with AI, but I want to not only introduce the AI community to these other exceptional visual effects artists and maybe provide some sort of inspiration, but also with the conversation, I want to start to create pathways and figure out where AI, from your point of view, can and will integrate into the type of stuff you're doing looking forward. Because even as people who use AI constantly, I don't think too many people could look at this and know exactly how it would fit into whatever your pipeline is.
Yeah.
So right now, how are you utilizing any type of AI, whether it's large language models or image generation or anything? And do you see it becoming even more prevalent going forward?
Yeah. So I've been using AI different ways. So my work as head of cinematics at Jadu, there I'm doing less point cloud stuff, more regular 3D works. And in that sense, I've been using AI for generating a bunch of stuff, like with stable diffusion, like the environments, some of the background environments that have been generated. I'm also using to upscale some renders just to simplify the creation of certain stuff, so I can just add details in AI and speed up the workflow for that. And a lot of concept, like concepting works and storyboards. That's where mostly I've been using visually the AI. However, in my point cloud stuff, I've been using AI, but not visually. So I've been using Cursor AI and ChatGPT a lot to help me, optimize my shaders, because it has like this knowledge. Cursor AI is very convenient because all the effects that I've been, everything that you see on my work is code, is basically, shaders code. So it's stuff that I write. and it's huge. It has a lot of different effects, and I have to create new things, think about solution, adding new stuff, and having something like Cursor AI and ChatGPT helping figure out what I want to do and how I do that easily. It has been super helpful, especially in the last, when I started using a few months ago, and like 5-6 months ago, I think. Really speed up how I can create FX and do exactly what I want to do. So yeah, I'm using a lot there. And I really like ChatGPT, sorry, because when I think about an effect, I write it down because I know how I could develop this if I had the time to go there and coding everything by myself. But at the same time, I write like the specification of what I want to do, what kind of things I want to create. I pass that to ChatGPT, help me figure out the first line, and then I start coding, and then I use a Cursor AI to fill in and troubleshoot and do other things.
What's the difference between Cursor AI and ChatGPT? What's the
Cursor AI is actually integrating in the code. It's like a code editor. It's like similar to Visual Code.
Okay.
So you can you have your code there, and you can open like a chat on the side and ask and talk about the code with it has support of different type of services like Claude or ChatGPT. You can decide which one you want to talk with, and you can ask them like, okay, I have the shader, I want to optimize, I want to change something. You can highlight a part of the shader. He's going to suggest changes, and you can apply, and automatically you can, it shows you which part of the code is going to remove and which part of code is going to change, and you can accept, and you can keep going there. So you can keep coding inside the same environment, but also chat with the AI assistant, let's say. Gotcha. It's kind of like, GitHub Copilot or something like that. But I really enjoy that, you working with that.
Dude, the concert visuals are crazy. I'm like, I'm listening to you, but I'm also watching the stuff that I'm scrolling through for the people, and these are all insane.
Thanks, man. I mean, and working with, I had a lot of different works for with Afterlife and Tale of Us, and it has been fun because for me also, everything is real time, so it's easy for me to just prepare something and render and send them to their workflow and everything. So it's really, really amazing to see this kind of work on like these huge screens that they have. They feature some amazing artists, and your work you did as well. It has been amazing for sure.
Really
inspirational.
One day I am going to physically go to one of these concerts and see the thing I make on the screen and not just watch a video of it. I wish I could have done that, but I had received the assets for Coachella to do my thing to.
Yeah.
I think the first show was on Saturday, and I received the assets Thursday evening.
Whoa.
And I had to have them delivered by Saturday morning. And so that's like
Jesus.
Pulling the separate layers from the EXR file, because everything is just massive, right, on the 3D composition. And then I had to take each individual piece of the composition. So 2 characters, 2 sets of cables, and the globe, and I had to put them all in their own compositions and crop them. And then after I had everything AI generated, I had to then all piece it back together.
Wow.
and make sure that it lined up like pixel for pixel perfectly.
Exactly. No, it's really an amazing job, and you did something crazy.
So another one I saw of yours, this is one of your more recent ones. I thought this was like, so one of the things that I think, just looking at all the videos we've been scrolling through here, that seems to really be a standout that you seem to be drawn to in your style is kind of like the undulating wave where there's some type of event that happens or an explosion, and it's not just like a boom, but it's like the the waves come out from the center, and it creates such a satisfying thing to look at.
Yeah, for sure. It's all about, even there, I don't remember where I saw something like this before, but for sure it has been inspired by so many things. And I do really like the idea of scanning the swipe movement and the waving movement. And it's the easiest effort when you try to, code shaders at the beginning, like the wave sign, like trying to create waves is the easiest thing to do, the first thing that you do. So it's basically my hello world in this kind of type of VFX. But when you combine everything together, it's sort of satisfying. I mean, the wave, it's really, it's something I enjoy doing for sure.
Oh, we had a comment by one of our stream regulars here that said, you can generate point clouds in NumPy, so it would be possible to translate an image to a 3D model to then generate a point cloud.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you think about what everything is going to be possible, I'm really excited. I've seen also people training using videos generated by AI. I'm not really sure what, but it was like a video of a fly through to a AI generated space, and they use this data to train like ocean splatting. So to create, like, they have like a 3D space model created from like an AI workflow. So I'm really excited about this, being able in the future to create 3D elements, 3D with AI, and then generate point clouds from them. That's really something. This is more like this one is more like a conceptual, because I really like also doing concept work, how the future is going to look like, and this was inspired with the Vision Pro and things like that. But
see, man, when we have a pair of just glasses, when these Ray-Bans aren't just the little camera, but when it's the full heads-up display on the lenses, that's what I want to be around for.
100%. Even what we are doing with Jadu, we are building like this augmented reality game, and I feel like with AR we are always almost there, but not yet. Kind of like VR as well. AI exploded. We reached that point where it just became like so powerful. I feel like AR is getting there, and it will get there, but it still needs sometimes to figure out the material getting smaller, but it's going to be there. And when we are going to have like glasses, as you said, like the Ray-Ban, but like pass through AR, this is going to change a lot. It's going to be stuff like this that I imagine stuff like this happening in the future just with a pair of glasses for sure.
Okay, so when you say that you guys are developing an AR game, what platform or what device is that meant to be experienced on?
Currently is on iOS and Android, so it's like a smartphone AR game. And we are doing a new release next year, so it's going to be a kind of different type of game next year. But eventually, I mean, if you look at the long-term thing, I think glasses are going to be really a good solution, but they need to be glasses. They don't need to be like headsets.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's when these and the Quest or the Apple Vision Pro, I feel like every year and a half or every 2 years are going to get closer and closer to one another until we finally have the device that I think we're all waiting for, which is the wearable that look just like your glasses right now.
Exactly. Yeah. And I can imagine there is so many connection. I don't know if you've seen like this sort of games in AI generated by AI. There was like the Minecraft thing where you can actually move around, and every step is generated by AI because it was trained by that.
Yeah. We were looking at something at that on one of our like reaction streams because we saw it posted on LinkedIn somewhere. But as the guy was turning the camera, it was being generated, which is insane to think about.
Yeah. So I can imagine, with more training. So right now, I think it hallucinates after a while for sure. But, but I think in the future, if you have glasses and stuff like that, some really, really crazy thing could happen in that space.
Man, it's just like all of the stuff is so it's so unique, man, and it's so cool to see that, especially with how popular 3D has gotten in the past couple of years, especially with kind of like how Blender has exploded, and then you have, you know, Unreal, which is free, and it's so cool to see people doing stuff that is so original.
Thanks, man. You know, it's just I start doing this because I enjoy doing this kind of experiments. For me, it's more like trying things out, experiment with stuff. Can I do this? Can I do not? And then some artwork may come out of it, but mostly it's about, you know, learning how to do things. And yeah, this is from Jadu AR, some of the visual that I did, some of the content. So there are some point clouds there, but it's mostly like characters for the game.
So cool, man. Who are you inspired by?
So it's hard to say. I mean, so many things. Like I have this passion. I always been passionate about, you know, the cyberpunk movement as well. So I think my colors are going closely to that. So the Ghost in the Shell kind of thing, and the theme about, you know, digital but still like glitchy. I don't really like things being too perfect. So everything for me is like always kind of glitchy, always kind of broken. So, and the concept of, you know, digital life as well, it's something that fascinates me a lot. Like something in the future, if we're going to be scanned and placed into like a 3D environment world, how would we see life and everything happening? So that's sort of things I imagine, you know, for me. It connects a lot with point clouds, because point clouds, you have this thing about you capture an environment, 3D space, and you end up with points, X, Y, Z points floating in space, and it just give you like these you understand reality, I think, like with these points. You understand where actual things that you see around you, where they're placed in space, and you have like analytical data showing you that. So I don't know, like dissolving realities. That's but visually a lot of stuff. Yeah.
So cool, man. It's like, I would imagine that it's particularly inspiring living in Japan, with being able to just like go and explore different parts of the city.
Yeah. It used to be more before, honestly, because now I've been living in here for such a long time, and everything kind of looks normal to me. So that's why I think, yeah. So that's why, you know, the video from Vietnam was the one that really, you know, that I worked very closely on that one, and inspired me a lot, capturing Vietnam and turning that into point clouds, because it was something different from Japan. But I think a lot of my videos are from Japan as well, and it has this particular feeling. However, I have a few videos also. I'm Italian, so from Florence. So if you like, for example, I think, yeah, the one on the right, the one that looks like a web, yeah, this one. This is like a street from Florence, and it has. So Japan is cool for this kind of cyberpunk-ish look, but you can create cool stuff even with a location that is as classic as, you know, medieval kind of look, like Florence.
Okay, so I'm sure at the level that you are doing things, how do you? Let me think how to phrase this. Do you ever face creative burnout, or do you ever hit the wall where you just like, you want to make something, but the idea just isn't coming?
True. It happens. I think I try to approach this in a way that, like, if I don't have like the ethics to make something like this happen, I can work on Pixel Pusher is in Japan. I think I saw your post somewhere. If you're still there, for sure, let's meet. But and yeah, I think figuring out the problem, what you want to do, and how to do that, but at the same time trying to be realistic. If you cannot get there, how could you get as close as possible? Or trying to figure out if the
basically asking when for people whose job it is to create, how do you keep that fire stoked?
I think not taking too seriously as well, because if I get too obsessive in a way to create something and I really want it to be perfect, it's going to be hard. Sometimes it doesn't need to be as perfect as you want things to be good, to be exactly what you want to achieve. And at the same time, you have to get inspiration and try new things and change. Even if if one direction doesn't work out, stop doing that, try something different, take a new approach. But for sure, I mean, it's normal to have like the creative blocks and stuff doesn't work out. And that's for sure. You can spend time like a day or two, like working on something and progressing just 1%. And then, however, one day you can do like 99% of the work just in a few hours, if you get the idea. So it's just about, don't be so serious, don't focus too much. And I think something like that, to be honest.
It's funny how different it feels when that lightning strikes and you immediately get put into the flow, right?
Yeah, because it's frustrating when you work so much on something and it just doesn't work, but you try to make it work. And you have to learn to like step back. Okay, let's see. This doesn't work. It's maybe better to start from the beginning or take a new approach. So that's for sure. And then you can, realize that there is a user solution.
All right, we had a Unity question here. Do you use the NVIDIA Unity plugin, NVIDIA Flex for liquid simulation in any of your videos?
No, I think I had like some liquid simulation like here, but it was like some very simple asset that I got from the Unity asset store. Everything related to point cloud is all by my shader. So all the FX, all the colors, and all the FX.
Guys, so yeah, guys, what you're seeing here is from a shader that Ruben has been writing since 2018. So a lot of the stuff you're seeing in his work is unique to him because he literally is writing the code for it.
Yeah, he kind of started working with point clouds with an interactive art installation, and so learning step by step. First, just rendering, then colors.
Where did the point cloud start for you? Because this feels like a very niche thing to be drawn to, but like what were you doing? Because I know you were developing the apps and you were a programmer, but where was what did you see, or what was the moment where it was like, oh, I need to make something with that?
So when I started, there were a few people that were doing, very, very few people that were doing point cloud works. One really good was Benjamin Bardot. He's a really great artist working with point clouds. He was working with the Houdini before, so it was like a different approach. But for me, I wanted to be working in real time, so that's why I started with Unity. There was another technology artist called Patricio Gonzalez, and he's Vivo, and he's a really, really good artist and developer. Mostly, he's really good in developing stuff. And that's where I first saw the first point cloud, at the beginning, how they work. And I was fascinated by the idea of capturing reality in this way. So if you imagine, usually it was like capturing things and making the meshes so everything looks like a 3D model. But the point cloud has this aspect of being just raw. And it's usually when people scan things and get like a 3D model of something, they pass through point clouds, like capture reality, create point clouds, and from point clouds they create the meshes, so like the 3D surfaces. But I really love the step in between, like the actually raw point clouds, and it has this ability to be able to be manipulated more easily than meshes and create all these effects.
So awesome, man. So awesome. Well, look, we're not going to hold you much longer. We're coming up on the hour here. I know you are a busy guy. The last thing I want to ask you before we wrap it up here is, for anyone that would even like to attempt to mess with point clouds or NeRFs or Gaussian splats as a total beginner, where would you recommend they start?
The hard solution would be for sure to learn shader coding. That's for sure. Otherwise, Blender has solutions now, but I don't know exactly. I think some plugins make that easier. At the same time, it still requires some coding for sure. So that's one big step. But I feel like even integrating with AI could be really, really interesting approach as well. So,
well, luckily now, I mean, so from firsthand experience, I have a bunch of friends who are super talented in AI who had no coding experience, but thanks to things like Claude and ChatGPT, I've literally sat in Discord and watched them just have conversations with the bot. And a couple weeks later, they're making these insane nodes for Comfy UI because there was a functionality that they wanted for their workflow that there was no node for. And just because they wanted it that bad, they sat there and they went back and forth with the chatbot and they were able to write a code and create the thing that they wanted. So it's like, if you really want to do it, I feel like very little is off the table for anyone now.
Oh yeah, for sure. And honestly, I mean, AI, if you think about how you can learn from AI, is like, we used to have tutorials, books, and stuff to follow before, but now with AI, it's so much easier to learn new stuff. So whatever it is, like if you want to learn coding and you really set up everything with that, talk with that ChatGPT or whatever, you can make it, you can do it right now. So yeah, it's endless.
Awesome. Well, look, Ruben, man, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. I know it's actually super early in the morning for you right now. So thank you for waking up early to sit here and just talk to me about all this, letting me pick your brain while everyone else gets to witness it. I am infinitely inspired by the stuff that you do. And yeah, dude, thank you.
It has been a pleasure, man. I mean, I really enjoyed it, and really, it has been amazing talking with you guys.
Right on. Well, hopefully sometime in the near future, the stuff that I do gets to a point where there could be some meaningful way that we could collaborate on something.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool for sure.
Awesome. Well, Ruben, thank you. Hang out for just a minute while I shut this down. Guys, okay. This has been a Civitai guest creator stream. My name is Tyler, aka jbugs.creative. This is Ruben Fro. In case you guys are not following him and you would like to keep up with him, I'm going to put his Instagram in the chat as well as his link tree. His X account, because I know, Ruben, you're super active on X. So make sure you go follow Ruben in all the places. You will not be disappointed whenever you see something new from him pop up on your feed. I promise you, it will remind you that there is more to learn and more to make. So Ruben, thank you. Chat, this is Civitai.com. Everyone have a great weekend. We will be back on Monday with Ali for office hours, and I will be back on Thursday. Next week, Thursday, we're doing a special Project Odyssey AI film competition stream. Maddie will come on along with a few surprise guests. And yeah, that's what we're doing. Guys, have a wonderful weekend.
Cheers.
Boom. All right. And we are shutting it